On this episode, we talk to Professor Khemthong about the intersection of Buddhism and Thai law.
So if you've ever wondered how the rough and tumble world of politics can be squared with Eastern spirituality, you'll dig this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, this is the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Bangkok in 2001, made $1 million teaching, invested it all in elephant pant futures, and lost everything in the great elephant pant crash of 2025.
Elephant pants, it's kind of like crypto. You can't predict it.
That's right. Buy low, sell high.
And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract over 25 years ago, fell in love with students who understand nothing but merely smile when I ask any questions. So I never left.
I guess so. I mean, if you don't cause waves, you're never going to get thrown in the water.
If they, I know they don't understand anything, but they won't ask questions. So that's it. So I feel like I'm off the hook.
Yeah, no, you've covered your ass. And when you say, is there any questions? And they're like thinking to themselves like, man, if I say something, this sounds like more work for me. So I'm just not going to say anything.
Seriously, that's the reality of my life. But all right, we want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get every episode a day early, behind the scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about a story that highlighted how thousands of people in northeastern Thailand developed liver flukes from eating pla ra, justifying our recent double loathe of the fishy paste, an update on the Thai Airways heroin smuggler, and a discussion around the plentiful online forums covering expat building projects in Thailand, some of which are making us very, very jealous. To learn how to become a patron and get all this good stuff, plus full access to over 800 bonus and regular back episodes, click the support button at the top of our website.
That's right. And as always, if you have a comment, a show idea, or just want to say hello, head to bangkokpodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play that on the show. All right. Well, on this episode, we talked to Kun Khemthong Thonsakun Rungruang. God, I hope I said that right. Associated Professor of Constitutional and Administrative Law at Chulalongkorn University. Now, Kun Khem has a unique specialty in both Buddhist studies and constitutional law, a combination that doesn't come up very often in the daily back and forth of Thai politics. After a discussion on meditation and all the forms of distraction in the modern world, especially social media, Ed dusts off his law degree and the men shift into a worldly realm of politics and the role that Thailand's Buddhist culture plays in the Thai constitution itself. Can Eastern spirituality be squared with the complex, confusing, and sometimes downright dirty world of Thai politics? Here is Ed and Kun Khem having a very cool discussion.
Okay, I'm here with Ajahn Khemthong from Chulalongkorn University. It's a pleasure to have you here with us on the Bangkok Podcast.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. So I'm a lawyer by training, constitutional law to be specific, and my PhD is on Buddhism and constitutionalism. So it's a crossroad between law and religion. So that's my main interest, jurisprudence.
Interesting. You are a man after my own heart. I am an American lawyer. I'm a member of the bar in Illinois, but I came to Thailand about 25 years ago and I started teaching and I fell in love with teaching. And I'm certainly no expert on Buddhism, but I teach an introduction to philosophy class. So in that class, I have to do a unit, on Buddhist philosophy. So I've got the basics down, but I don't have your expertise, certainly. So why don't we start with a more general question, which I think is very contemporary, and then maybe we can get more into maybe your specialty. So
All right. Okay. Sure.
I know from my basic understanding of Buddhism that the Buddha was very concerned about people being distracted in their life. That kind of distraction is one of the major causes of suffering, and that he taught various methods and techniques, meditation, to kind of calm the mind and teach people to focus. And you have this idea of a spirituality that's based on mental training.
Right. Yes.
And I find it fascinating that today, I feel today in modern society we have the most distraction ever.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So do you? I kind of feel that Buddhism might be better for the modern world. It's like if it's a religion based on, a peaceful mind and breaking free of distraction. Do you think Buddhism is maybe more relevant today in the modern world?
Yeah, I think you start seeing this maybe even like 15 years ago, even with like a simple like mobile phone era. People go to meditation, and the meditation center would ask you to switch off your mobile phone. I mean, imagine in the social media era, you go to a meditation or Dharma retreat, right? It's the same thing. Buddha said you need to like focus on yourself, on your breathing, and focus your mind on every moment of your daily life. So yes, actually, it becomes more relevant than ever. Although I have to add that Buddhism is very, how would say, forgiving about being a Buddhist. If you think about it, right? Also, we understand that being a monk is subject to a very strict code of conduct. Right? You have to be mindful all the time, right? To walk, to eat, to lay down, or even to speak and to think. Ultimately, right? Being a lay Buddhist, you're not required to do any of that.
Understood.
Yeah.
We are lucky enough on the podcast to have a Thai monk who comes on the show. So we've done a few shows. Actually, we've done a lot of shows on the life of a monk. But for lay people, they still have these kind of tools available for them. Like I have,
Right.
a lot of my Thai friends, they go on meditation retreats. So they're lay Buddhists, but they're interested in cutting off, modern life.
For
I
a
think modern
while.
life with all the technology is kind of overwhelming.
Yes, so I think there's more and more people. I think, I mean, contrary to what we think that younger generation gonna abandon Buddhism, younger generation gonna like leave religion behind and become like modernized and secularized. That doesn't happen. I think actually there are more and more people being drawn into Buddhism, but the question remains like what kind of Buddhism that really draw the younger generation. Okay, I think we have more options than ever. You can the Dhamma retreat or meditation retreat that you mentioned. You can go to some like a traditional establishment like a monastery, right? But right now you can go not only to Theravada, but you can go to a Mahayana meditation centers, or even to a lay like a how do you say a lay meditation center. Like there's a lot of
Secular, right?
meditation center like, run by secular people.
So
Right
what do you?
now, so it become a thing.
I'm curious. What do you think about secular meditation? In the U.S. now, it's very popular for big companies like Facebook and Google. They'll have meditation classes for their employees. What do you think about that? Is that do you consider that kind of fake Buddhism, or do you think the technique is still valuable?
I think they focus a lot on technique and they try to remove a lot of like religious elements out of that. Right? You can like even if you are non-Buddhist, you can like drop by and learning some practice to focus your mind and breathing and all those. But there's another kind. I mean, this is like a Buddhist, a lay Buddhist meditation center run by people who like declare themselves or identify themselves as Buddhist, but they don't belong to like a traditional Buddhist establishment. Like they're just very independent, like a
I
very
see, kind of
modern.
yeah, maybe non. I think in Christianity we would call it non-denominational. Not in a particular
Yeah,
sect, but kind of either a general Christian or general Buddhist. Every time I see a study on social media and the harms of social media, it just reminds me of the Buddhist philosophy that I know. And again, I'm no expert, but if you just read the basic stuff about what the Buddha said about what causes suffering, it's all about your mind jumping around, kind of out of control, or I always use with my students the metaphor of monkeys playing in trees, and I think this was a
right.
a Buddhist metaphor
That's
that
very apt.
your mind is kind of like monkeys chattering, and it just seems so perfect today. And I always feel funny talking to my students about it because I'm guilty. I wake up and look at my phone immediately. It's the first thing.
Right. I think we are like programmed to do that right now. Like it's a default mode. Like
Yeah.
first thing after waking up, you check like
Yeah.
news update and everything.
And scrolling,
And
just scrolling all the time.
yes, true. I do that too, just to confess.
Now are you
No, but I want to point out here that that's what Buddhism is really good at. Individualism. If you want a personal or individualistic salvation, all these meditation technique really helps. Yeah.
So do you find yourself are you like I understand you kind of confess to living a modern life, but is it something that you try to minimize? Or so it sounds like with your students you're dealing more with legal issues. So you're not teaching Buddhism or Buddhist philosophy, is that right?
No, that's my academic interest, but back at the faculty, so it's all the usual temporal subject like constitutional law, administrative law. Maybe you can touch on it when we in a seminar class on like a Thai political problem, Thai constitutional problem. That's where like you need a deeper discussion. So you go deeper and you discuss about like the mind, the thinking, the ideology behind all these conflicts, and that's where you really touch on Buddhist political ideology. But otherwise, I mean, every day is more like a usual con law stuff.
Understood. I want to ask you a little bit about your main field of study, and I've got a little anecdote for you. You might find interesting. So I think this was around 2006 or 2007. I had a student who I helped get into graduate school, a Thai woman, and she went and got a PhD in political science at I think it was UC Riverside, so University of California.
All right. Okay.
And she wrote her dissertation on the kind of the Bangkok shutdown, the anti-toxin, kind of the yellow shirt shutdown.
Yeah, yellow shirt. Yep.
And so this is, I think, 2006, 7, around there. And she came back to Thailand to do her research, and she wanted to talk to some of the protest leaders for her research. And she told me this crazy story where, there was a big camp in the shutdown.
Yes.
And she told me
By Santiago.
they blindfolded her, and they took her. They blindfolded her because these leaders were worried about their lives, or they're worried about like red shirt assassins or something. Who knows? And so it's like out of a movie. And they brought her in, and then she's sitting in front of some of the protest leaders, And she asked them, if you believe in democracy, how can you do this? So this is her topic, justifications for coups or revolutions. And she said, and I might get the word wrong, is the word damarat or damachat?
Okay, Tamarat.
Tamarat.
Yeah, the Dhammic state.
Yeah. So they basically just appealed to Buddhism. So these are
Very much.
these are the protest leaders. They are, depending on what you believe, they're kind of anti-democratic. Thaksin did win the election, so they're doing something contrary to the Constitution and contrary to democracy. But in their mind, they're doing something higher. So they appealed to Buddhism actually to justify it. So, what do you think about that? Is this common?
Yes. Actually, just refer back to when I said that Buddhism offers like a very great way out or answer to an individual who are facing like an individual problem, like personal problem. Right. So you do meditation, you focus, you can think of the way out, spiritual salvation and stuff. But for a public issue, you try to find a Buddhist solution to it, and sometimes the outcome isn't great. You can see that a lot of these people are like interested in the idea of kondi, good people.
Yes.
Good in like virtuous people.
Good people, right.
And they try to create something like a new governance combination of like democracy, but not liberal, maybe like Buddhist style democracy,
or Thai style, right? Thai style democracy,
Thai
right.
style, yeah. That emphasize a lot on personal virtues rather than public virtues. I mean, you can draw a lot of comparison from Western philosophies, but somehow I think they are looking for benevolent rulers, like philosopher king style, right? And you know that 2,500 years, this idea has been like debated and rebutted and talk about like over and over. But Buddhism is still there, thinking about virtuous people to run the system. So it comes out to one thing. In my study, Buddhist political ideology. So they emphasize a lot on your intention, cetana. Right? So it doesn't matter if your action cause harms to the public, like occupy the government house or beating the police, right? It's all about like good intention. You doesn't have evil mind. You have a benevolent mind.
So if you think, let's say, in this case, if you really believe that, let's say, Thaksin is corrupt, if you really believe that,
right,
and you really believe you're saving Thailand or saving the monarchy, then
right,
they feel what they're doing is justified, even if it's illegal. It might be technically illegal what they're doing.
Indeed. I mean, like in criminal law, like criminal liability, you need two things, right? Evil mind and harmful act, right? Evil mind and harmful act, mens rea, if you use that. But in Buddhism, they focus a lot on mind. If you don't have evil mind, they disregard the harm.
Not so much the act. So it's not the act that's important. It's the mental state.
Yeah. So that's the very basic foundation of how they talk about Tamarat, Dhammic state, right? So it's all about like good thinking.
Yeah, it's funny because she did end up getting her PhD, so her dissertation was successful. But I remember talking to her after she had the meeting with the leaders, and she was kind of disappointed because she thought they were going to have interesting political arguments or evidence of corruption or, some kind of legal justification. But basically, they just said Dhammarat. That was she said they just made this appeal to the Buddhist law or the dharmic law.
Right. Yes. So if you look into Tipitaka, the Buddhist scripture, actually Buddha doesn't discuss in length of any like ideal governance. I mean, Buddha acknowledged absolute monarchy because that's the only kingship, because that's the only form of governance that he has ever experienced, right? But he tried not to suggest like the form of state or form of governance. What he says like everyone, including the king, should try to uphold dhamma, should try to practice dhamma. So there's an advice for personal conduct, but he doesn't try to say something like on their political action or political decision, right?
Right. So in general, we can say that the Buddha is a true spiritual teacher. He's not into politics. Basically, he doesn't talk about politics. Basically,
No, no. So that left a big void in Buddhist literature that later generation would try to fill in. So that's why you get like these protesters try to come up with like Dhammic state and and Thai style democracy stuff like that.
I feel that these days that is that not in my this year, I've been teaching on Thammasat for 17 years, and this year they let me teach a class on Thai society. So it was fun for me,
Wow.
as a foreigner to teach Thai society. But in that class, we covered the election, and we got into Thai politics and Anutin and the strategy, the Progressive Party, and all the strategy and all the arguments. But no one was talking about Dhammarat or Buddhism. You know what I mean? It's like I know there's smaller there's smaller parties that I know talk about it, but I feel like this is not part of the conversation these days.
No, but they would discuss about like barami and seniority, right? So the idea is still there. I mean, people still think of perceive the society in a very hierarchical way. There's like people on top of you and people below you, and you have to know your place, right? So you don't try to like rise up and protest against your superior, your senior figure, right? So that's is more obvious in the way that the political structure is construct. You have like election and parliament and politicians there at the bottom of the food chain, and above that you have elite bodies like the court and all the watchdog agencies, and above that you have the king. So it's a pyramid like that. So I just try to add this to you, like like there's always an adage that power tend to corrupt and absolute power corrupt absolutely, right? So I think that's the basic foundation of a lot of liberal democracy around the world, that you don't trust those in power. But
Sure.
in Thailand, right, power signify your barami.
Right.
Only if you have high barami, then you have power, you achieve power.
So but can you define barami for the listeners?
Right, barami is like a perfection, accumulation of your good deeds. So the more good deed you perform, like the higher level of barami.
So
This
you
is
build
like
up
in the
merit,
computer
you build
game
up
where you
virtue, you build up virtue.
you collect
basically.
the coin.
I see. Right.
Barami is like you collect the coin in the games, and you climb up the ranking, right? But the thing is, when power signify your barami or signify your good deed, the more powerful you are, a better person you are, like according to a Buddhist ideology. So absolute power will never corrupt because you are the most virtuous person.
That's the theory. That's the theory.
That's the theory. But that's why like people will not question the court or watchdog agencies for corruption, and they focus a lot on politicians and those like in the lower ranking of this social hierarchy.
I see. I see. Okay, one last question I have for you. This is a bit random, and it's something I noticed. when I first came to Thailand, because I'm a lawyer, I was curious and I read the Thai Constitution of 1997,
Right.
which is quite famous.
All right. Okay.
It was quite famous, very liberal. I could talk about it for a long time, but I remember I'm going by memory. I haven't looked this up, but I think the 97 Constitution said Thailand is a Buddhist nation with freedom of religion. That's my memory. But I think the 2017 one, so I'll have to double check this when we show the podcast. But the last constitution, which is conservative, it's the military promoted it. I think it doesn't say that anymore. I think it just says freedom of religion. What do you think about this? What do you think? Because Thailand is a Buddhist country, obviously, culturally, historically, no doubt about it. And since you're a con law guy, do you think there's a problem saying in the Constitution, Thailand is a Buddhist country with freedom of religion? Do you think that's good or bad?
Yeah. So the actual wording is, I think. So it's actually three parts. There are three parts. It's like the king is Buddhist.
Okay.
Thailand guarantees freedom of religion, and the state has duty to promote Buddhism and other religion. So,
Okay.
so there's a Buddhism and other religion. So we support all religion, but we spell out Buddhism in particular.
So it's that's interesting.
You know.
So the language is pretty neutral then. So it doesn't say. So what you're saying is it does not say Thailand is a Buddhist country. It does not say that directly, right?
No, but very subtly, like you spell out the single religion in the whole constitution. So that's the subtle way of telling you.
Yeah, many countries do that. It's not the American way, it's not the French way, but to me, as long as you have the freedom part, then it's okay to acknowledge your own culture and history and your identity. Like, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah. So we accept the fact that we are a Buddhist country. I mean, de facto, even the king mentioned it several times that we are a Buddhist country, but we stop short of recognizing it officially in the constitution for fear of religious conflict, which we already see in the deep south region, right? So we try to hold on to this very delicate position. We are neutral with Buddhism, special place in our heart.
Right. Well, I like that. I'm a real politics person in that I think politics is about compromise and it's not about perfection. So that seems like a good compromise to me.
Yeah. The only, I think there's a caveat because there's a call for like a strict separation of state and religion in Thailand as well, but I don't think that's gonna work. I mean, in reality, a lot of people here really believe in Buddhism. So if you try to write something in the law that doesn't reflect the reality, that clause is not gonna
Makes
it's not
sense.
gonna work, right?
Well, there's a practical element. This is how I teach politics. There's a practical reality you have to deal with.
But again, the downside of that is that as a Buddhist country, I mean, if you are not Buddhist yourself, you will face a low level of discrimination all the time, like a public holiday.
Sure.
Alcoholic sales ban.
Sure.
I mean, people talk about it, right? In public school, you might not see it, but in public school, 12 years of compulsory education, there's a lot of Buddhist practice and classes, but not for other religions.
Understood.
That kind of low level discrimination.
Right, but
going on.
that's really what most countries do. I mean, countries like the U.S. or France that are very neutral, that's kind of the exception actually in the world. Trying to be totally neutral, that's the exception in the world.
I think we try to hold on to it and try to strike a a balance. Right now, I think there's also like a growing movement of atheism, but there's also a growing movement of a more like a religious nationalists that calling for a more endorsement or more establishment as well. So I think the state is in an ever more precarious position than ever because now you have two more extremes emerging.
Sure. Welcome to politics.
It's very politicized, very polarized as well.
Okay, Ajahn, I wanted to thank you again for coming on the show. Maybe we could do it again sometime. This topic, like I said, the fact that you're a lawyer and into constitutional law and you have this background in Buddhism, I can relate. So maybe in the future we can do this again.
Indeed, this is my pleasure.
Okay.
Very, very fun talk, very entertaining.
Great. Thank you so much.
It's too bad Kun Kem is not a beautiful woman, because you guys both have the weird Venn diagram of constitutional law and Buddhist theology.
Seriously.
Like, you guys just two super nerds with this ultra specific nerd specialty.
Hey, we're not super nerds. We're just nerds.
Okay. But it's fascinating that both of you sort of have this overlapping love of this very niche
For sure.
topic and where they intersect and stuff like that. It was pretty fun to listen to.
Yeah. I know it was a little bit academic, but we're smart people here at the Bangkok podcast. You told me that, hey, I want you to talk to this guy about politics and spirituality and religion. I didn't know that much about him. And it is amazing that his specialty is, it's not, so for example, I have a law degree, but I just happen to really like constitutional law. And then since I've been in Thailand, I've developed an interest in like Buddhism. And because I teach this introduction to philosophy and religion, I have to explain like Buddhist philosophy. So as I explained this all in the interview, but yeah, you're right. It is a weird Venn diagram. And it's an odd thing because Buddhist culture is just prevalent in Thailand. Obviously, there's temples all over the place. You can see monks. So there's just no doubt from a cultural standpoint, Thailand is very Buddhist. But it in reality, it never seems to intersect. There's just crazy stuff happening in Thai politics, which is very uncool, like spiritually, like, you know what I mean? And there's just no one ever talks about it. Whereas, I don't know, like in the US, okay, we have separation of church and state, but religious people are more overtly political, and especially, conservatives in the US talk all the time about Christianity. It's like they actually are mixing religion and politics in the sense that they say stuff like, as a Christian, I have to be opposed to X.
Sure, yeah.
As far as I know, Thai people don't talk that way. They don't say, as a Buddhist, I have to oppose X. Maybe the gambling. I guess. I think some people did oppose the gambling on Buddhist grounds.
What's interesting to me is that, Thailand, I don't think it has a clause like the Western countries do that separates church and state and just distinctly makes them two separate entities, kind of thing.
Well,
but I don't know if it's needed.
Well, we did talk about it a little bit in the interview, and you're right. There's no specific clause like that, but Thailand still has a secular main government. I mean, obviously the prime minister, the parliament.
Yeah.
I just like on the podcast that we sometimes reach into the university world because we're real people, Greg.
No, and it's a great resource to have. I mean, this podcast has been around for 15 years. I think, some of the people who were kids, little babies, when our podcast was started are getting close to university age now. So, we always talk about the evolution of Bangkok, the development of Bangkok, and what's in the future, and who's going to lead it other than the university kids. So all of this stuff, having this rich vein of professors to come on the show and talk about the types of things that tomorrow's leaders are going to be discussing and learning about, I think it's totally relevant. And I think it's a really, really, we're really lucky to be able to get people like Kun Kem on the show.
Well, I just like that, we have all kinds of guests on the podcast. And so
yeah,
we try to give some variety to our listeners.
One thing I thought was interesting that came out of the conversation was that you talked about the most recent constitution and how that one was different because it specifically did not say that Thailand was a Buddhist country.
Yeah.
That question has been popping up every few years for years, decades now. Like some people say we should definitely make this an official state religion. Other people are like, ooh, that's opening a Pandora's box of all kinds of gnarly stuff. It's fascinating to sort of see people go back and forth on it.
Yeah, it's very odd. Obviously we touched upon it in the interview. You and I have talked about before that it is possible for like a military or authoritarian government to be more progressive in some ways. It's possible, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I'm not sure that's what was going on. When they changed the phrasing to whereas in the past it said, Thailand is a Buddhist nation with freedom of religion. When they decided to take that out, I don't really know if that was for some open-minded or progressive reason, because I don't know if the phrase official state religion applies, but there's other references to Buddhism in the Thai constitution. And so it just doesn't have that general thing anymore. But I mean, obviously there's, the Buddhism is regulated by the Thai government. So it's not like the Thai government is neutral, like about all religions.
Right. Yeah. Wow, man, it's sticky to get into this kind of stuff. I just gonna say I gotta start my own religion, make a little bit of money. And,
yeah, traditionally it's a good way to make money.
Very good way. No, but thank you, Kun Khemthong. That was very interesting, and we're like I said, we're very lucky to be able to have people like you on the show to share your deep insight and knowledge of stuff that certainly I know nothing about. Ed knows a lot more than I do, but it was very interesting for me to hear.
Yes, thank you, Kun Kem.
All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we discuss to decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we just have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. And this week, Ed, it's your turn on the hot seat, so to speak.
All right, dude. Last week we did deep cuts about why we like Bangkok, and this is a deep cut, dude. So you might have to.
Okay.
This is a sliver of a narrow experience, but I'm guessing that you have experienced it. So let me paint a picture for you. You're, let's say, in a bank, or it could be somewhere else, but the most common place is a bank, and you have to get a queue, a number in a queue. Okay, you with me?
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
And you look up at the panel, and there's also a voice that says like what the number is, so, and of course, let's say you're holding number like 24.
Okay.
So in Thai, it'll say Yip Song, 22, Yip Sam. So all the numbers are being read out in Thai. But then when it gets to your number, it says 24.
Okay.
In English. In English.
Yeah.
How do you react to that? I mean, listeners, this is a very specific thing, but if you lived here long enough, it's probably happened to you, right?
It's so funny. I got lots of thoughts on this because first of all, I'm sitting there with my number B24 and it's like B19 and then someone, B19.
Yes, that's right.
B19. And then someone starts to walk around and they look at my sheet like, is this dumbass not able to understand Thai? And I always take pleasure in going like, oh, please, I'm 24. I understand that she's calling 19, right? And so, yeah, I like that I can sort of show off the fact that like, I don't need your stupid support system in English numbers. I understand Thai. But then when I get up there and I'm like, Sawasdee Krap, and she's like, can I help you? And then I'm lost. I'm like, okay, this is what I want. So I act all high and mighty. I'm like, I don't need any help speaking English right now. But then when it comes time to actually speak important Thai to get my stuff done, I just like, can you speak English, please? Because I'm helpless. So it's a bit pathetic.
Well, I'm curious, like when they switch to English just for your number, like how do you feel about that?
Yeah, probably the same thing. I just sort of, I'm like, I don't need it. I don't want it. I'm one of you. I live here. I don't need special treatment. But then when I get to the counter, I do need special treatment. So I loathe that they assume that I need special treatment, but I actually kind of do need it.
Well, it kills me. What kills me, and again, listeners, it might be hard. I might not be explaining it well, but you're basically in a Thai bank with mostly Thai people, and they're speaking 100% Thai. But then when they read your number only, they switch to English. So it's like they've actually done the calculation ahead of time. Like they know who's next in line, and they're like they're just assuming that if they read our number out in Thai, we won't know it. So
yeah,
I'm like you. They should give me the chance, like, you know, say it in Thai and then see if I stand up, right?
Yeah, but that it seems like a lot of manual work, you know. And sometimes they know you're English because you choose English on the system, but some systems don't have that. And you just take the next number. So someone at some point has to jump into that process and assign you a Farang card.
That's right. I don't like it. I'm not sure I'd go. I'm not sure I'd go loathe, but I take it as an affront.
Yeah, I don't appreciate being pigeonholed.
All right, so we're both mild loathes.
Mild loathes, yeah, that's good.
Okay, a final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm, fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping in our never-ending quest for cool content. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast.com. Oh, so shit. Or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages, unless, of course, you're a PR agent who pitches clients who have no connection to Bangkok.
That's right. And you can also listen to each episode on YouTube. Send us a voicemail through our website, and we'll feature that on the show. Find me on Blue Sky, BKK Greg. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you back here next week.
For sure.